And that's when I was like, you obviously didn't see the chandelier.
Oh yeah, Oh, hey now.
Okay,
That was that was
I
one of
got
the
to
worst
mute
intros
YouTube
we.
there.
That's one of the worst intros I've ever done there. But I was trying. I was trying to do my Vogue pose and then just move out of it. So hello
Here's
everyone.
where
I
you
hope
find it.
you're all doing marvelously well with Mr. Mike Robinson. If you don't already know him, you will now. Mike, how the devil are you?
I am freezing as always in lovely West Tennessee. How about you? Wait, let me start over. I'm doing marvelously well.
Is it cold there? Or I know that you don't like the cold, and you many comments about you wearing a hoodie and a hat and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I have all that here, but I'm trying my best to appear human in this video, despite being freezing.
Is it actually cold there? What's the weather like?
It depends on who you ask. It's about 18 Celsius here at the moment, but to me, my hands are freezing.
And in Fahrenheit, what's that?
Yes, probably somewhere around close to 70.
Really? Well, 70 is
Is
quite
it weird
nice.
that I have to calculate that now?
Well, look, hello everybody. Hope you're all doing marvelously well. I've actually figured it out today where I have the pop-out chat for the first time in front of me. So hopefully I won't be doing this all the time like I normally do. After years of doing live streams, you'd think I would have figured this out a long time ago, but no, I hadn't. But here we go. So who do we have? We have Sebastian, we have Don, we have Bo, we have David, we have Pablo, we have Photos and Stuff. Mike, hey Mike, hey Danny, hey Serge, hey Chris Ibbotson, hey Adam, hey Hot Pole Studios. Adam says 18, I'd love that. That's nice and toasty.
Oh, goodness.
Well, he's in the north of England, so it's probably like 11. And it's evening, so it might even be like 7. Patrick Larson's here, William, Maria, hey Maria, hey Jet Guitars, hey Savage Rift, Barry, Brandon, Chris, Adam, lots of rather lovely people here. It's fantastic to see you all here. So let's sort of introduce you to a little bit to Mike here. So Mike, you're in West Tennessee. It's cool, a little colder than you want it to be. Now, is this a studio that I see that was built in your house?
Well, it wasn't initially a studio. This house I bought about 5 years ago, and the previous owner had this room as a playroom for his kids. I was going to turn this into a home theater room, but my wife loves me, so she let me do what I really wanted to do with it and turn it into a music room.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I see that you must therefore be a drummer, bearing in mind that you have a drum kit sitting behind you.
I use the term drummer loosely. I'm a guitarist by trade and was forced into the position. Having been in bands pretty much all my life, I've always been around drums. So I've touched drums long before now. But in this part of town, it's like you can always find a guitarist, you can always find a singer, but you can never find a bass player and you can never find a drummer. So after losing the drummer from my last band, he moved out of state. I just decided to get a bit more serious about learning to play drums because we can't find a drummer. Fast forward to today, and I like drums.
It's funny. I always say to people, if I was starting again, and if I was 11 and I wanted to start playing a first instrument, I think I probably would suggest starting with drums because if you've
I had.
Yeah, if you've got timing together and you understand that, then melody and harmony and everything on top is a nice addition. I also wish I'd learned piano before guitar, because most of the time, with the exception of a really badly out of tune piano, but with most, keyboards, they're in concert pitch. So where me learning guitar, I don't know about you, it was like whatever tuning it just happened to be. Might be E-ish, and so I didn't develop an ear as quickly as I could where if I'd been a piano player. So yeah, drums and piano would be my suggestion for anybody out there who has kids that want to learn drums and piano. That's where I would start. And Adam says, Mike, are you still finding Legos in the studio?
I think I found all the Legos when I gutted the carpet out of this room.
So you're not standing on Legos and in severe pain.
Not at the moment, but the day is young and the opportunity is ample.
So give us a little bit, tell us a little bit about your journey to using Reaper. Now, full disclosure, as you all know, I'm a Pro Tools user. Not only am I a Pro Tools user, I use the evil empire of Apple. In fact, I enjoy my Apple computers. So usually when you're talking to Reaper users, you usually get a comment about Pro Tools and a comment about using Apple. So we're a nice little yin and yang here, aren't we? I'm an Apple user and I use Pro Tools. And presumably as a Reaper user, that's very different.
Well, I'm a little bit weird about that topic, actually. I think a lot of people have a tendency to find their identity almost in the DAW that they use. And while obviously I'm an advocate for Reaper, I'm also a big fan of just use what you like. It's not that serious. And whoever's listening on the other side of the speakers has no clue, nor do they care what tool you use to reach that point.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's back in the day when, we had Studas and we had 3M machines and we had Ampex and Otaris and all that kind of stuff. I don't remember anybody listening to a record and going, it sounds like it was done on an A80 Mark I. No, that's not. Yeah, but I agree. The world is not like that. But it is an interesting debate. So,
well, I do want to counter that, though, with all of you guys watching, use Reaper.
So, you're Switzerland until you're not.
Right.
So, how did you end up using Reaper? What was the sort of career trajectory? Did you start recording on 4-track cassettes? How'd you end up getting there?
Oh, it's much sillier than that.
Good.
I'm going to give away my age, but I grew up playing in punk and rock and metal bands, and before I knew anything about recording, anybody that plays in a band wants to get a recording of their band. And what's the best way to do that other than getting one of those tape players like they used to use for the film strip projectors in school? Sticking it in the corner of a room, putting a blanket over it, and figuring out what volume everybody has to be at to get one good recording.
I love that.
So I started with Fisher-Price and slowly graduated to other things. There was a DAW that I used for a short while. I believe it was called N-Track Studio. They're apparently still around, but nobody has ever heard of them whenever I mention it.
N-Track Studios.
Yeah, I think the company is FA Soft or Fast Soft, something like that.
I'm going to look it up.
Let's do it. Let's take a moment.
N-Track Studios. So that's how you started?
And I think I found some limitations with that and made me want to look elsewhere. I dabbled for a very brief moment with Cubase. I think it was Cubasis, what Cubase was originally called, or are those two different products? I don't know. I didn't use it long enough to answer that question.
I mean, I started with Cubase. You want to show my age? When I first started doing music as a kid was in the late 80s, and Cubase was only a what do you call it? It was just a sequencer. So when I first started on it, was a sequencer only, and then it brought in audio later. So it was a sequencer for MIDI only, and that was a long time ago. But you would have, if you were talking about 90s, it probably already had audio editing capabilities by then.
Now, I did have a brief stint with music and computers in the 80s with a Commodore 64 by writing code to vibrate the drive heads to make the floppy disk drives produce music.
Nice.
It was utterly useless, but interesting.
So Reaper, how did you get to it? You've done all of this.
I think that when it was all said and done, if I'm honest, the initial draw to Reaper was the price and the uncrippled trial.
Right.
And after spending a little bit of time with it, I remember having the printed manual for Reaper 4 back in the day and trying my best to make head or tail of it. But in retrospect, it seems to be the one that clicks the most in my mind. I know I've got friends that use various DAWs. Some use Pro Tools, some use Studio One. And the whole concept of having to tell the DAW what type of track I want it to be just makes my brain hurt because I'm spoiled. In Reaper, if I just want to record stereo or mono or video or MIDI or whatever, I just put a track on it. And I don't have to tell it which kind it is. It just interprets whatever the playhead comes across, and it just works.
That's amazing.
And it really makes me wonder, why is it not this way everywhere? I guess if I think about it from like a physical console, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here because I don't have a whole lot of like proper console experience, but if you want a stereo track, you just have to plug in two inputs into two tracks and gang them. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, every console is slightly different or can be customized, but yes, in in this respect with the SSL, you can do kind of a bit of everything. You know, you come in a channel, you can go direct out of the channel, you can go pre-fade, you can go post-fade, you can go pre-EQ, post-EQ, or you can then take all of the channels and group them to one bus and come out of one output. There's a million different ways of working, and that's really kind of the flexibility. Some SSLs, they actually made, I know Bob Clearmountain has them, stereo channels that were still only that narrow, but were actual stereo channels where you could come in and have one fader and deal with left and right. But yes, typically what you're saying is what you would do. Like on my console, I've got kick snare, toms, overheads, and then my overheads are on a pair of faders. One's panned left, one's panned right. Same thing with keys and pianos and stuff like that. And these days, of course, using DAWs, you've got a stereo fader coming up, that, you know, pair of faders. I can obviously pan inside of it without having to use the console to adjust the panning. They're just left full wide left and right, and then the movement is created inside of the DAW, which I'm a big fan of. I like working in a hybrid fashion, but at the same time, I also mix a lot in the box. Sometimes it's called for, and also when we're doing training videos and stuff, it's nice to be able to work entirely in the box, because that's what 99% of the world is on now. You know, consoles are now a rarity.
And it's interesting, like your description of the console, I'm sitting here thinking it sounds like he's explaining Reaper.
Great. Great. Well, that's absolutely fantastic. So you started on Reaper. You were you just recording your own stuff initially, or did you do it really because you wanted to be more of a commercial guy and actually work with artists? What was the sort of transitional point for you?
Well, I started off using it because of just me playing with my own band. I think I was not even an adult yet when I started, so the concept of doing it as any type of career path at all wasn't even a blip on the radar.
Right.
It was just like we need a way to record our music and get it out there, so let's figure this out.
That's great. Now, in your editing course, a lot of it was actually quite familiar to me on how you edit in Pro Tools as well. I think a lot of the that's quite similar. I actually found when I was working in Logic for it not to be quite so intuitive. I do like Logic for virtual instruments. It's incredible. You can open up a Logic session and the stuff that comes free with it is insane. But when it came to audio editing, and don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert, I didn't find it to be quite as intuitive as what I expected in Pro Tools. But I did find Reaper, watching your course, to make it a lot more intuitive than other DAWs I'd experienced.
I had a good teacher. If I'm honest, giving credit where credit is due, my drum editing process, I learned the bulk of that from John Tidy from Reaper blog. A few years back, I had recorded a project for my band, and I wanted to learn how to edit drums and had no clue how to even get started. So I contacted John and basically hired him to edit the drums for a project I was working on for me. But I also asked him to record it and film it to make me a private lesson so I could learn to do it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Now, John's
That's
got
really
lots
good.
of experience in Pro Tools, so perhaps there's some crossover there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, back in the day, as it were, in the mid 90s when I first started on Pro Tools, and I was still making records as a musician on tape, but I had the earliest versions of Pro Tools. I do remember just feeling what gave them a head up in those days was the fact that their audio editing capabilities was very, very straightforward. It immediately made sense, and it was very intuitive. And to be honest, it hasn't changed, which could be good or bad. I mean, it still has exactly the same process. In the last 25 years of me using it, I haven't needed to change anything. In fact, all of the legacy commands still exist, even though they've moved on and created newer ones that may be considered faster. I still use the old school stuff. So I think with Reaper, one of the things that I hear from you and everybody that uses it, and is going on in the chat here, is the sort of continual development. And I suppose in that same vein, and maybe even more so, is the customizable aspect of Reaper.
Right. The customization of Reaper, in my opinion, is a bit of a blessing and a curse. I love the fact that you can make it what you want to, but I understand the outcry from some that there is not necessarily any standard way of doing things. And that's intimidating because if you come into audio production with no clue how to start and you're given this like 500-page manual and also told by the community you can make it whatever you want, all of a sudden it's like using Linux as a previous Mac or Windows user. You've got all this power at your fingertips, but there's a bit of a journey to tame it to work the way that you want it to. Once you get it tweaked, it's amazingly fast and powerful. In my opinion, much more so than the other DAWs.
Right.
But getting it to that point can sometimes be difficult because it's so open from the beginning.
Right. Anders is saying, and Reaper is probably very CPU efficient compared to many other DAWs.
Absolutely. I can open up several hundred tracks and have single-digit CPU use. Of course, that'll change if I throw a bunch of plugins on there, but the DAW in and of itself eats almost nothing in resources.
That's absolutely fantastic. I want to go through some of these questions, so please keep them coming. Also, Ammon says, I'm trying to keep Reaper simple for me, the mind-boggling aspect for me. Reaper tutorials are very helpful and unlock something new. Well, that's great. I think what we do, Mike, why don't we give away a couple of courses? And
welcome the opportunity. I need some reviews.
Yeah. So what would be absolutely fantastic is, okay, what do we want to know? What do we want to know? Hey, you know what? Here's a really, really dumb question that everybody can answer. And Eric will pick at random. So literally all you have to do is just answer this dumb question. And this dumb question is, if you're a Reaper user, when did you first start using Reaper? How long have you been using Reaper? And if you're not a Reaper user, you can say, I'm not a Reaper user. Eric will randomly pick somebody. If you're a Reaper user, tell us when you started, how long you've been doing it. And if you're not a Reaper user, just say, I'm not a Reaper user. And Eric will pick somebody at random. So please let us know. I want to hit the like button as well. That really helps.
Well, I noticed Adam from Hot Poll there in the comments, he said, it's really funny. People talk about how customizable Reaper is. I like to use it almost exactly stock as it comes. And that's an interesting point because I've gone through the whole course of changing themes and skins or whatever you like to call it. And as of today, I'm right back on the stock Reaper skin, using it mostly stock with the exception of some custom keyboard shortcuts and toolbar icons to make my workflow a lot easier.
That's fantastic. A lot of people here have been using it for a while. I saw a few 2010s. Seems to be averaging out 3 to 5 years. Started Reaper about 5 years ago. Yep, more 5 years ago. 2017. Quite a few 2010s. When did it launch?
I'm going to have to look that one up.
Oh, it's okay. I just wondered if you knew.
You got me curious, though.
When did you start?
Oh, my concept of time is bad. I'm learning that the older that I get, the worse the memory is. It looks like the initial release of Reaper was August 23rd, 2006.
Oh, wow. Well, Adam says 13 years, but it might be 14. So, I mean, Adam also has an incredible course as well. Absolutely
Yeah, he does. I have bought that one myself and learned quite a bit from it.
Yep. Which I think, hopefully, Eric, there's all links to all of these things underneath. So you can check out Mike's course and Adam's course underneath. A lot of Reaper users. I have found, you know, with all of the DAWs and all of the different kind of software that we have showcased over the years, that Reaper is definitely the most passionate of all.
Yeah, we're like vegans.
You like vegans?
Like we're really quick to tell you that we use Reaper every chance we get.
You like vegans and people that have just given up smoking?
Oh, I don't know if you know this, but I use Reaper.
Yeah. And let me guess, you just gave up smoking? I think you should really stop smoking. You should stop smoking.
I never started, but I use Linux, so I can start talking about that too. And what's really bad is if you get a Linux user who uses Reaper in Linux.
What mic do you have there, by the way?
This is the Rode Pod mic.
Sounds good.
I was about to ask you, does it sound terrible?
No, it sounds good. I hear a bit of room in there, but nothing major.
It's my ceilings are about 14 feet tall, and I have yet to treat the ceilings in these angled parts of the ceiling, so it's a work in progress, as it always will be.
But that would be nice for drums. High ceilings are fantastic
Exactly.
for drums.
It sounds fantastic for drum recordings, but vocals, not so much.
Eric, did you choose somebody?
Yes, Hannah Shipman.
Hannah Shipman. Can you put them up in the thing? Hannah, you need to email Eric at producelikeapro, and Eric will send you. There he did. And said, not a Reaper user, but might like to be. Well, you've got a free Reaper course now. So now wait there with the with the trial, how does it work with the trial? You can try it for free for pretty much unlimited. Is that correct?
Well, I want to give some truth to that. It's the official stance is 60 days,
Yep.
and the trial is 100% uncrippled. The only thing that's different between the trial and the paid version is the trial gives you about a 5-second nag screen, for lack of a better word, each time that you open it. And it just it forces you to read the screen for about 5 seconds, and you can either click buy or still evaluating.
Wow.
And of course, if you look on the forums, you'll find people that have. It's funny. You look on YouTube and you'll see people that have been showing Reaper tutorials that says evaluation version, and it's like their channel is over a year old.
And how much is it to buy? Isn't it only like $60 or something?
It's $60 unless you're using it for commercial purposes, and if the way that they define commercial is if you're making $20,000 with the software annually. So even if you are in a proper studio, you don't have to pay that additional license fee until you cross a certain financial threshold. And even with that said, it's on the honor system. I think that's an actual attraction for a lot of people, just the way that their system is set up for licensing. It's not tied to any DRM, and it's just on your honor to pay for it.
Yeah. John, Reaper Blog says maybe Warren can come to Mike's home studio for a makeover. We actually
That would be great.
No, it'd be great. Pre-pandemic, that's what we were going to do. I think now that we're going to do a series of videos on that, and I think now that we're sort of on the way out, and it's being called an endemic. That's the word that's coming up now. I think that we'll be back to traveling. I mean, I've still been traveling, but not as obviously as dramatically as I used to. I mean, 2019, we were abroad 13 times in 1 year, which I think I was talking to you, Mike, about the other day. I didn't know what time zone I was in any day ever. I don't know if I want to do it as often as that, but it's going to be fantastic when we can all get back out there. Don says, yeah, Eric, St. Eric at ericvoneric.com. Yeah.
And I will say that John has learned to hate this room. I did a guest spot on his home recording show recently, and he had a lovely time editing out the room sound.
So that's why he wants us to come in there and help it out. It's interesting with studio acoustics. That's a whole other thing. You know, we had Gavin Haverstick come in, and when he came in and put up the panels, everybody said the low end's going to be completely out of control. You know, you didn't do enough low end stuff. And then we measured the room, and if anything, it needed more low end. My point is like everybody has very, very passionate ideas. Passionate ideas. Sorry, about how things will sound by looking, but you don't really know until you actually listen in a room how it's going to sound. I'm very happy with the new room we bought. And we just finally, for anybody who's interested, finally got the computer for it. So we're going to re-up, and you're going to start seeing a lot more stuff on that. Somebody did ask earlier what these speakers are. They're called Jones Scanlon. They're from Australia. And yes, we do love them. We're still big fans of the General X. People ask all the time. And Callie is somebody we've been standing behind because they make affordable, great sounding speakers. But we do love these Jones Scanlon. They've stayed up now for a few months. I mean, you know, part of my thing, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Mike, is the fact that, you know, I have a duty to the people that watch and listen to what we do to evaluate gear and give really important... People say to me, why are you changing out the speakers often? And it's because, you know, I get asked all the time about speakers. So I need to have them up and use them. I can't just put them up for a day and go, yeah, they're great. You know, I do need to get stuck in. But we've mixed quite a few things on it recently, and we've been really enjoying them. All right, let's get some questions.
I don't see how you keep up with that chat. This is a lot more chat session than I'm used to.
This is quite pleasant. Curious, what's the new computer specs? I'll let you know, but it's the brand new computer that just came out recently. That's what it is. Is that enough for you? And you know what computers I use, so it's the brand new one. Question mark for Mike. Since you're working in the box mostly, are there any plugins that you prefer, or do you mainly use stock plugins for mixing?
It feels like a bit of a loaded question. I'm not a fan of subscriptions, so I'll start with that. I do really love the Reaper stock plugins. I know that they're very utilitarian and Spartan in appearance, but they work well and they sound great and they're light on resources. Outside of that, I like a lot of the Plugin Alliance plugins. Again, I don't do the subscription. I just kind of buy them when they're on sale because they're always on sale. As for amp sims, when I'm recording guitars, I do a combination of tracking the live amp and just putting a mic in front of the cab, but also splitting and capturing the DI and using Audio Assault plugins to, what's the word I'm looking for, augment the sound if what I'm getting straight off the amp isn't sufficient.
Great.
Outside of that, I'm sorry?
Audio Assault stuff is incredibly affordable.
You know what's interesting about Audio Assault, if I may deviate for a moment, is
Deviate away.
they are very. Gosh, my English is terrible today. There's one coder at Audio Assault. If you look at Reaper and how efficient it is and how quickly they make the updates and feature requests, it's amazing that there's 2 developers. And there's one at Audio Assault, and Alex there seems to develop at just as fast of a pace as Reaper, it seems. Constantly cranking out updates and responding to user feedback.
I mean, I relate.
I don't see how they do it.
I don't see how they do either, but I also relate. I mean, like, we have a big team of people around us, but all of the content, you know, that you see on YouTube is basically just me and poor old Eric sitting over there. It's just like I was on a conference call this morning, like, how do you keep up? And I was like, you never sleep. I was like, not much. Eric sleeps a bit in between going to Vegas. Vegas, baby, yeah!
Insomnia helps.
Insomnia does help, yes. I have young kids, you know, so being woken up early and taking them to school and all those kinds of things helps, because no matter how late you work, you've still got to get up in the morning and be a dad.
We are empty nesters, so other than the Mastiff, we've got nothing to wake us in the mornings.
So just the passion for actually wanting to get up and do some work.
Pretty much that and the insomnia.
Ron Anders says, Adam's Reaper course is fantastic. Don't forget his Audio Essentials course for even more Reaper goodness. Thank you, Ron Anders. Yes, it is a wonderful course. Produce high ceilings. Showstopper Rob says, ceilings can be ideal. High ceilings, sorry, can be ideal for singing. Check out the Hansa studios in Berlin. I did. I recorded at Hansa, and I've also taught a masterclass in Hansa, and I did a video on it as well. I think several videos. Anita says you can't argue about the price of Reaper. How is the new room? Says Sean's coming up soon. Pat says they loves both of our channels and also loves Sarah's too. Sarah's amazing as well. I'm looking for more questions here. Is the mannequin in the background holding a head? Is that my mannequin? Oh, yeah, that's your mannequin.
That is holding a Michael Myers head.
Oh.
I have a little bit of an obsession with Michael Myers. Not the comedian, because he's not that funny. But my coffee cup of choice for today is Michael Myers. I have a Michael Myers half sleeve on my left arm, and I have Michael Myers mask back there in the background.
No, not a fan at all. No. The fact you've got a tattoo on it says pretty much says it. Yes. Looking for more questions. If you bought at version 5, you can get all the way up to V6. $99 paying for V7. Okay.
Yes, that is a good point. The Reaper update model. I'm not sure how it works with other DAWs because I've not really used others enough to speak intelligently on the topic. But when you buy Reaper, you get updates for free up through 2 full releases. And by full releases, that means if you buy Reaper version 6, which is the current iteration, I believe it's at 6.52, you get all of version 6 and all of version 7. So until Reaper 8 is released, you continue to get updates. And those updates can be released, the pre-releases are almost daily, and there's a new stable just about every other week. And it's not that there's things that are broken, but it's just things that are being tweaked based on user feedback or feature requests.
Interesting. All right, we're going to ask another question for a giveaway. This one is one I want to know. If you're a Reaper user, now if you're not a Reaper user, you can again answer, I'm not a Reaper user. In fact, Eric chose the last person, Hannah, and that was their answer. So there's no wrong answer, just want to know a little bit more about you. If you are a Reaper user, did you use another DAW before? Have you come from another DAW? Did you morph over? I'd like to know that, be intrigued. Or was Reaper your first DAW? And again, if you can't answer that question, you can literally say, I'm not a Reaper user, and Eric chooses randomly, and as we saw, you could be chosen. Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about how people came to it. I have had a couple of friends morph from other DAWs over to Reaper. One guy I know is quite a well-known producer, and he said that he was able to take all the quick keys that he was using on his other DAW and transfer them over because of the customizable aspect. So I got Reaper, Cubase Studio One, Harrison Mix Bus, not a Reaper user. Started with Audacity, Cubase, then Pro Tools, then Reaper. Audition before Reaper, Cubase, then Ableton before.
I'm not seeing any Cool Edit Pro users in here.
No Cool Edit Pro users? Now you said that, there'll be people. Cubase, lots of people coming from Cubase and Sonar, Cakewalk, Ardor.
Simone almost used Pro Tools.
Came from Studio One, Pro Tools, Radar, Mixcraft to Reaper.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I've got a few friends who use that around here.
Yeah. Cool Edit Pro, says Photos and Stuff. Started with Cool Edit Pro. I used Cool Edit Pro back in the day, says Watchman for You.
You remember the theme song then?
How did the theme song go?
Oh, I'm not a singer, but there was a terrible song that played every time that you opened Cool Edit Pro that sounded like a barbershop quartet with a hip-hop beat behind it.
Sean says, started with Microsoft Voice Recorder. There you go. GarageBand. Another Cool Edit Pro straight to Reaper. More Cubase. Fruity Loops. Energy XT. Mixbus. Sony Vegas. Woo! Wow. Sony Vegas, then Pro Tools, then Reaper. LPX still. Mixcraft.
Oh wow, Atari 1040 ST.
I actually started on a 520. My first computer was an Atari, the predecessor to that, the 520 ST. I never got to the 1040 or the what was it called, the Mega 2? That was like the really posh one. Yeah, the 520 with
Tascam
Cubase.
3440. Oh, I see
Fostex.
someone with an Amiga in there.
Nice, Commodore Amiga. Fostex 4-channel tape deck, says Adam. And Ted says, do you remember Saw Plus? I don't.
I've heard of Saw Studio, but I've never seen or used it. I think I've just seen people mention it in chat sessions before.
No, I've never heard it before.
Radio Shack cassette recorder.
Nice.
This is great.
Looks like said Wrath of Maltreya. I think it started with Reaper, went through Audition, Ableton, Pro Tools, Studio One, and now back full circle and loving it. Michael says he's still got his 520. Nice. Dave says
Travis Barris, I guess that's how it said. Music Maker. Are you talking about like on the PlayStation, the Sony Music Maker?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. Lars says, tried a couple, honestly, going back to Reaper. Energy XT, Mixbus, and Sonar. And he says, forgot about LMMS, but couldn't really record. What is that?
LMMS, my stepson uses that. He is a bit of a composer by trade and plots out stuff that, like orchestral scores, just does them all on screen in the piano roll in LMMS.
That's fantastic.
I think it stands for Linux Multimedia Studio.
Oh. Baz Baker says, my piano teacher taught me Cubase in 1998. And then I just lost the page. There's lots coming up. Octatracker on the Amiga back in the 80s.
It's like we need an assistant to keep up with these questions.
Pro Tools 6 now in Studio One, looking at Reaper. Samplitude. Wow, lots of incredible stuff here. Okay, Eric, you're going to pick somebody at random?
Dominic McSweeney.
Sorry, Dominic?
Oh, Dom. Congratulations, Dom. He's a good guy.
There you go. At random. Eric Von Derrickson. Dominic McSweeney. Mostly Reaper as a serious DAW. So yeah, please email Eric at eric.eric, eric.eric at eric.eric. No, Eric at producelikeapro.com. Traction. Melissa Bell says, I switched DAWs to an MCI JH24. The razor blade warp algorithm is a bit finicky, but sounds great. In all seriousness, Cubase to Logic, to Pro Tools to Studio One to Luna. Wow. Melissa's awesome. She's as you can tell, she's one of our admin and very, very talented. Yeah, she just recently, as she's saying, bought a MCI JH24 tape machine, which is pretty freaking awesome. Yamaha 4-track. Wow, this is great.
Oh, there's an interesting comment from Anders. 32-bit plugins work in Reaper. I don't know how relevant that is in 2022, but I guess it's not too common to have native 32-bit bridging in a DAW.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. But I suppose is VST as a format available in 32 on all DAWs, or is it only restricted? Is that?
To the best of my understanding, I believe, if I recall, I think Cubase was able to with another application called JBridge. I think most DAWs just want to stick with a single architecture. But there are those who would argue that these days you shouldn't be using 32-bit anyway.
Why not? What's your
But, I mean, if that's what you got.
Right. I mean, I know in Pro Tools you could access all of the VSTs, of course, through Blue Cat.
Oh, does Pro Tools not natively support? See, this is how naive I am about Pro Tools. It doesn't
No, it's not
natively support
VSTs.
VST.
It has its own format. It doesn't. But with Blue Cat you can run all VSTs. VST 32 and VST 64 both work in Cakewalk. Reading some more questions here. Warren and Mike, please give me simple but effective VST distressor plugin from Waves Overlord system. I don't even have that myself.
Well, I'm curious. Is it Anchor Wolf? My old eyes are having a hard time reading that.
It is Anchor Wolf, yeah.
Are you a Reaper user by chance? If you are, you might want to check out Toucan Studios. That's Tukan. That is, his real name is John Matthews. He is a German developer. Just started using Reaper back in September of last year and started coding plugins in October of last year. He has a full suite of plugins that are available, and his distressor clone is pretty nice.
Adrian says Toucan plugins are awesome. JBridge is a rapper, creates a 64-bit VST, so they should work in all DAWs. Uh-huh.
And Mathis there is a plugin developer as well. Definitely knows what he's talking about.
This is fantastic. I love having this quality of people here. So, just out of interest, if there was one plugin that you couldn't live without, what is it? What's the one plugin that you're reaching for more than anything else? It can be stock Reaper.
Wow, that's a tough question. Let me make this two parts. If I were going for
Please.
stock Reaper plugins, I would probably say ReaComp, which is just the stock compressor. It's very flexible. It doesn't really impart a whole heck of a lot of character unless you drive it pretty hard. So it can be as clean and surgical as you want, and if you push it to its limits, it can definitely add some saturation and distortion. As for other plugins, as of yesterday, I bought, I believe it's called Loch Ness by Tone Empire, and it is like magic on my drums bus.
Say that again. What's it called? I'm going to make a note.
Loch Ness, it's LOC-NESS. Let me see if I can find a quick link for that since I can post in
Loch
chat
Ness.
there. I think it's currently on sale for like $20. Sticking a link in
Oh, there
chat
it is.
now.
Yeah, $19. Tone Empire, dedicated channel plugin designed for processing individual drum hits. Interesting. Or
And from what
entire
I've been
drum bus.
told, it's very similar to Devil Lock, which
Right.
I've never used, but the people that I've spoken to about it say it's like Devil Lock but usable.
Well, I
Just
think
gives you a lot more control.
Yeah, Devil Lock. Devil Lock, I always thought was an emulation of the Shure mixer that gave you that like crazy clipped, it was an insane sound. Yeah, Loch Ness. Eric, make sure you put a link up to Mike's course, please. And then, yeah, that's really interesting. I'm going to check that out. It's
Mastering in the Box has a question there, if I can
Please.
focus on it. Let's see. Can you tell Mike I'm still... Oh, goodness. I know who this is. The most important question ever. You may need to help him with this. What's the most important ingredient of beans on toast?
What's the most important ingredient of beans on toast? Well, bearing in mind I'm English, British, I have eaten more beans on toast as a child than any other human being on the planet. I literally, for those of you that are UK citizens, you know that we all, I mean, if you're a Gen Xer like me, what is Gen Xer now? It's like 40 to 55 or something like that. So we're all, you know, the 90s generation. Those of us that were in bands who all started off in the 90s. The era of grunge and everything. Anyway, we all grew up in the UK on beans on toast and Angel Delight. Anybody remember Angel Delight? It was this powder. I don't even think you had to add milk. I think you could just do it with water and you just whip it up. So your mum would she'd make some toast, heat up some beans and just throw the beans on top of the toast. And, you know, and if you're lucky, maybe sometimes she'd put some margarine or butter on it. Usually margarine if your family had the lack of money like mine did. So it was just margarine on toast with some beans on it and then Angel Delight afterwards. I mean, I have probably had that for lunch as a kid several hundred, possibly thousands of times. And what's the best ingredient? I don't know. I mean, I love baked beans. I mean, who doesn't like Heinz baked beans?
I'm going to have to try this now. It seems kind of silly to think about beans on toast, but I'm sure I've had worse.
I mean, it's probably my generation, I think, just grew up on beans on toast. It's probably the meal I've eaten more times than, and it's like a comfort food. If I'm not feeling very well, beans on toast is so good. So good. Andre says Vegemite.
Oh, no, you can keep that. I've had enough salt for the day.
I like Vegemite. I mean, I'm more of a Marmite person. I grew up on Marmite. Marmite on toast, then add beans, says Simon. Yeah. Melissa says, I do like Marmite. Oh, there you go. You're a woman of taste. Marmite with butter on toast is great, yeah. Bangers and mash, yeah, yeah. Beans on toast, more beans on toast is a winner, says Dominic. It says, Jens says, with Reaper, you can record the sound of beans on toast. Wow.
We've got a question here from Wrath of something or other. Question, does Mike's course have content relevant to those of us poor souls who don't have access to a real drummer type and have to use stuff like Superior Drummer? As much as I would like to generate sales, I would say no. My course is primarily geared towards timelining and just augmenting an acoustic or natural or human performance, whatever you'd like to call it. If you're working with Superior Drummer, I believe, Warren, don't you have another course about programming drums that just came out recently?
Oh, yeah, we have a huge course that came out with
Like that segue?
Misha Mansour. Yeah, yeah, which is insane. It's by far the best drum programming course I've ever seen. And we did watch all the others, and what's great about this course is it's being taught by somebody who professionally programs drums every single day of their life and has sold millions of records. And it's a completely different perspective to somebody who's trying to interpret what this person does. It is actually the person that does it. And Misha, we went and filmed with him over a week. How many hours is a course? 10 or 12 hours? Like 10 hours? But it's condensed from a week worth of filming. And he breaks down, I think, 3 bulb songs, 1 periphery song, and then also writes a song from scratch, comes up with a guitar riff, writes it in real time, and then programs the drums to it. So it covers all the bases. So if you want to know about drum programming, Eric is going to put it up there. It's competitively priced. It's the same price as the ones that are done by people that aren't professional drum programmers, so we wanted to make sure that, you know, we're competitively priced, so it's not, you know, a case of like, we're going to charge double because you can. No, Misha is a wonderful, wonderful guy, as I'm sure you're all aware, and is stupidly talented. So thank you for giving us a segue. I appreciate that, young Mike.
And I had a user in there that requested a link to our Discord server. I posted that in chat, although it'll probably disappear pretty quickly. There is the unofficial Reaper users Discord server, which I created that less than a year ago just as a supplement to the YouTube channel. I love YouTube, but one thing that I don't like about it is if someone asks a question on YouTube, they can't post a video, they can't post a picture, and real-time communications is very difficult. So the Discord server allows you to connect with other users who can probably help you a lot sooner to nowish as opposed to later when they see that YouTube notification.
That's fantastic. All right, let's do another giveaway. can we think of it? We need to ask a question, Mike, that everybody can answer. It can't be exclusively something too clever, but
I got
okay.
it.
You know what it is? What's the question?
It's not going to be too easy. It may require some research. Earlier in the stream, we talked about a certain movie, and a movie that I like, and a movie that I have a few references to around me. Who is the actress who played the protagonist in this movie that will remain nameless?
Who's the actress who plays the protagonist?
And I'm dropping a subtle hint on screen as we speak.
What is your subtle hint? The actress, not the actor, the actress.
Right.
The
As people
actress-
are already getting it, they're answering now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that was too easy.
It's okay, but that's the point. Is it?
But now they can all copy and paste, even if they don't know.
But that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Is to make a question that anybody can get. Julia Stiles, says Dave.
Beans on toast with cheese.
Elvis
for the
Presley,
win.
says Joe. Baked beans on toast or spaghetti on toast. Cheese on toast. Oh, sherbet dip, Yorkshire puddings. Oh, Tessa, you're speaking my language. Beans on toast with cheese. Oh, yeah. Cheese on toast I love as well. And like cup of soups. Anybody remember cup of soups? Cheese sandwich dipped into a cup of soup.
Oh, wow.
Delicious.
I was introduced to stroopwafels a couple of years ago.
Stephen says Paris Hilton.
Let's see. Mike DeCamp Minds Music. What's Mike's channel? My channel is Let's Talk About Reaper.
You could, if you write a comment in there, they can click on your name even. Like.
Sorry about the keys if you're hearing that through the microphone. I bought a mechanical keyboard and I love it, but I've learned to hate it if I'm typing while on a stream.
Oxtail cup of soup. Yes, Hannah. Now you're talking. I love Wayne's World. And there's Let's Talk Reaper. It's me. Keeping it real, says Chris. Buckethead has his own mug now. Oh yeah, they asked. Somebody asked earlier if you're a Buckethead fan.
I don't really have a good answer to that question. I definitely have mad respect for Buckethead's skills, but I could not name a single song.
Well, that's. I understand. I mean, again, I think he's an absolutely incredible guitar player. I agree, but you're right. I can't think of any song off the top of my head. But what an amazing musician!
Let's see. Got a question from Master Hellstrip, who I may or may not know. What custom action can you not live without? That would be the fast edit action, as shown in the drum editing and Reaper course, to make my life a whole lot easier for slip editing in groups.
Marvelous. Barry Turner won the giveaway. What was the question? What was the answer? What did Barry say?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
What? We didn't know that. I was joking. What? It was Jamie Lee Curtis?
I think so.
I thought it was copy and paste.
If that's the case, then Chris wins.
Tessa says minestrone soup. I agree. Absolutely delicious. So, Eric, will you put up a link to Mike's course, pretty please, and also to our good friend Adam? Adam, you still here?
Looks like he just popped in there. 2 strip silence and one that crops out a whole section of the project. Oh, that's in regards to Hellstrip's question about actions you can't live without.
Self-Law says, I've had Weetabix with water a few times. Me too. What I used to do is when we ran out of milk, is I would just take the Weetabix and then just flake them up and eat the flakes. Actually, really delicious. I really like Weetabix. Yeah, and then they made a Weetabix that was just the flakes, didn't they? You could buy it in a big packet. So they figured out what we were all doing. It's crazy. You think of being a child growing up in the UK with no money, just like the things you used to do.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to look up Weetabix. I just recently found out that digestive is not something for stomach illness.
It's not for a stomach illness, or is what?
Is not. Apparently digestive is a cracker.
Oh, yeah. No, digestive is a biscuit, or as you guys would call it, a cookie.
Ah.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
learning.
you can have chocolate digestives, which are delicious. So it's a cookie, as you would say, a biscuit with chocolate on it. Oh, and
Biscuit
then
means something totally different in the South.
I know. I know. It's Weetabix with margarine, messy but tasty. Oh, I've done it all. I've done it. Yeah, fantastic. Right. Well, do we have any more questions? Oh, Tessa says, Mike, who inspired you to get into the music industry?
Get into the music industry. I guess it depends on how you define that. I think it was more of a selfish pursuit in that my main objective initially was just to be able to record things for my own band and hopefully save a few dollars in the process. Little did I know that it would end up costing more because you have to buy equipment and spend lots of time learning and practicing. Sometimes it's nice just to go into a studio and just be the artist. I got to say that.
Right. Les Paul says, I came here to watch a video and audio, and now I just want to have bangers and mash. Well, it's Mike's actually starting his own cooking show, and that's really what this is all about. This is just a preamble.
I thought about starting an OnlyFans and just eating cereal on camera. It's worth a shot. You never know what might take off. I didn't think my channel would take off, but here we are today.
Yep. If you haven't already, please go and follow Mike's channel. It's called Let's Talk About Reaper, and of course Adam here. You can follow him on Hop Pole Studios as well. Both two absolutely wonderful gentlemen, and they both have incredible courses. And Hop Pole says, Adam, let's talk about beans. Channel coming soon. Yes. Yes,
Adam Fox has a question. You go
Please.
first, Warren. What's your favorite cereal?
Weetabix.
Oh, that was quick. I think I would have to say the banana pudding cereal.
Oh, I've never had that. That sounds very decadent.
It's like diabetes, but it's worth it.
Okay. Now I'm hungry and want to pop over to the local chippy, says Mikey Riot. Joey says, I have a question. What is Reaper like for latency when tracking a band and punching in or out for overdubbing? Is the latency okay to work with? That's a great question.
I think that question would be less a question for Reaper and more a question of the audio interface. I mean, in my experience, the latency is not noticeable, and I've got about 2 to 3 milliseconds round-trip latency reported by Reaper. My audio interface is the Roland Studio Capture, so I would say as long as your audio interface can handle it, Reaper can handle it. It's really more a function of the driver for your interface, I would say.
So what were you using again? You're using a Roland interface? Is that what you said?
Roland Studio Capture. That has become my absolute favorite interface. It's got a feature that I love called AutoSense. For example, if I'm recording my drums, I can sit back there and click a button in my remote session to arm the tracks. I'll play for about 10, 15 seconds, what I believe to be the loudest part of the song, and it automatically sets the gain structure for me. So it cuts my time significantly in half or less to set up for drumming.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Well, I didn't actually know anything about Roland interfaces. Honestly, nothing. I mean, obviously growing up, I remember going to music stores and it was dominated by Roland products in the UK. Roland and Korg and Yamaha was, all synth stuff, all high-tech stuff was coming from those companies. But since moving more into pro audio, obviously still being a guitar player and stuff, the names I hear all the time, Roland doesn't come up. But that's interesting. Now I really want to try one out.
Yeah, they've kind of flown under the radar, I would say. The only thing that I would say is a negative about this interface is if I wanted to expand it, it doesn't have any ADAT capability. I would just have to add another Roland Studio Capture, which retails for about $900 US. I would buy one in a heartbeat. I've got 16 inputs on this one now, and if I wanted to add more, like I said, I would just go buy another one and gang them together through software.
Nice.
That automatic gain staging feature is the best thing since sliced bread or beans on toast.
Wow, if it's the best thing since beans on toast, then it really is very, very important. Okay, let's do one last giveaway before we finish up. What should we ask? What about something not to do with Reaper, just something to do with recording? What mic do you use? What is the mic? What's your main microphone? And if you don't use a microphone and you're just programming and creating music inside of the box, totally understandable. And you can just say, I don't have a mic. But what mic do you use? What is your one mic that you have? I'm really intrigued. So this is a non-DAW specific. It's more just a question of what is everybody using out there? There's no right answer. Eric will choose somebody at random and you will win a copy of Mike's course. And you know what? We're going to throw in Adam's complete course as well because it's the grand prize here. So Adam's course. So Adam and Mike's course combined, which we are doing as a bundle, I think, as well. You can bundle the two together. So Blue Spark, Shure KSM-27, trusty old
This is the
SM57.
longest shopping list ever. I'm looking at all these mics, and I'm wanting to go try some.
I don't know, the Marantz. Working inside of the box. AT4050s. Don't have a mic. Rode, SM57s. Quite a lot of 57s. Some SM7Bs. LCT 440 Pure Lewitts. We do love those. A Shure 545 with giant windscreen to make a fake SM7. 545s are great mics. Warm 47. JZ mic. More Lewitt 440s. More Lewitt 440s. Lots of those. Those are great mics.
I have yet to try any of the Lewitts. I would love to get my hands on some of those.
Well, I will make sure that you get some.
God bless you, sir.
Lewitt 640. I was just talking to Valerie on the drive over to the studio. We will make sure that you get some. Neumann U87s. There it is. Another Lewitt LCT 440 Pures. Very, very popular mic. Very great mic for the price. Pretty
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers. Rode NT1 and a Neumann TLM 103. More Rhodes. Yeah. Oh, SM7 RE20, SM7B 57, sorry, and SM7B. MTP 440. That's another Lewitt. KM 184. Nice collection there, Mr. Les Paul. More Lewitt 440s. Oh, LCT 640 TS. I believe that to be the best mic on the market for the price. It's the one where it records, it's a double capsule, records front and back at the same time, so you can have pure stereo, or you can record a signal and then change the polar pattern in mixing. So you can get super tight to hyper supercardioid, all the way out to omni and everywhere in between. Pretty
That
amazing
sounds like
mic.
fun.
Yeah, let's see if we can get you one of those. That'd be great for a room mic, because you can just put it in front of the drums and get pure stereo.
Would that be a solution to treating this room for vocals?
You could definitely get it down to hyper supercardioid. Yeah, you can get the pattern to be really super tight. Yeah, it would help. Nothing's going to help as much as having a purpose-built vocal booth, of course. But
My spring project is getting the ceiling done and getting some clouds.
Jeff says, "What's that mic again?" Oh, we're talking about the LCT. Oh, the 640 TS, the LCT 640 TS. When Al was still alive and Ed was still alive, that's Al Schmidt and Ed Cherney. They tried it out along with what was their group called? I can't remember what the group was called. Anyway, there's 4 of these incredible world-class producers, engineers, and mixers, and they tried out all these different mics, and every year they would give an award to what they thought was the best mic of the year, and that was the one that won, which I was very happy for, because I've been a big exponent of that microphone. It's the Lewitt LCT 640 TS. Is it worth trying? Yes, it's worth buying. Stager SR2N, AT4040. Have you chosen anybody yet?
Yes.
Who did you choose? Put them up.
Spirus Visuals.
Sorry?
Spirus Visuals.
Can you put it? Did you post their name?
Yeah, it's just delayed.
Oh, it's just delayed.
Yeah.
There it is. So Spirus Visuals. So Spirus Visuals, if you write and tell Eric that your name is Spirus Visuals, you will win both the courses, Adam's full course, and which is we have as a bundle, and Mike's. And we'll put those courses up with the bundle as well. Could you do that, please, Eric von Derrickson? For those of you.
Congratulations, Spirus.
Joey says Lewitt punches way above their weight. Yes, they do. Sennheiser E-Series 606. I love those E-Series mics. I'm Spartacus. 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 She works hard for her money. Anybody know what I'm doing? She works hard for her money, and you better treat her. No? Anybody?
We'll have to edit this part out in post.
You know what movie I'm talking about, though?
I'm afraid not.
Oh, okay. I almost feel like I want to give away. Anybody know what movie I'm talking about? Spartacus? No? And there's the courses, drum editing with Mike, and the ultimate guide to Reaper with Adam Steele. Well, Mike, thank you ever so much for spending an hour with us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for putting up with me, I should say.
Oh, come on. You're wonderful. Thanks for being such a great mentor and spending... Mike spent a long time on this course. This is not just one of those like phone it in jobs. He spent a long time, and it really is a fantastic course.
I think the bulk of the time was spent fighting COVID, but it got done.
Adam says, I'm Brian, and so is my wife.
I have to know what movie was this from?
Oh, I don't want anybody. I want to see if anybody knows.
Fair enough.
All right, I'm going to say because nobody's got it. It's The Birdcage.
I don't think I've seen that.
The Birdcage. It's Hank Azaria.
Robin Williams?
Harley says The Birdcage, but after I already announced it. Yeah, it's Hank Azaria. You know Hank Azaria. He's like the voices of like so many different people. He's such an incredible character actor, and he plays this guy, Spartacus Atticus, and he's all like, and he goes, she works hard for her money. And,
now I know what my homework is to watch The Birdcage.
It's really funny. Yeah, Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, just incredible movie. Really, really funny movie. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for Adam. Thank you, John at Reaper Blog, for tuning in as well. I really appreciate.
Thanks, everybody.
It's really fantastic. Please check out Mike's course. Check out Adam's course. God bless you all. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir.
Demi Lovato.
Demi Lovato.
I think that's what they say in Spain.
Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss for the Dutch. Totsiens. What else we got? Ciao. Au revoir. See you all later. Thanks ever so much. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir. Adios.